Hello, all, and welcome back to IHP's Health Huddle. You're listening to your host. That's me. My name is Miles Levtov. We're sitting today with our founding creator, Lucie Porter, and our special guest today. We have a doctor, a chiropractor coming in from Complete Balance Health Center. Really excited. He's going to talk a lot about concussion treatment today. And before he gets into that, he's going to talk about who he is, what he's done, and what brought him into that field. So I'm going to pass this along now to Lucie to give him a great introduction.
Well, hi, everyone. Again, as always, I'm quite excited to be here. And even more so because we do have Dr. Fung present. And thank you, Miles, for such a lovely introduction. What makes Dr. Fung so special to me is that after I suffered a double concussion with mild brain injury, Dr. Fung treated me together with his team and literally put me back together. This is when I became so compassionate about concussion, how it affects you. And after receiving such an empowering treatment, I felt a real strong desire to share that with everyone else out there that may be in need to receive treatment, proper treatment, so that they have a positive recovery, to have a better quality of life. So I am extremely honored to have you here, Dr. Fung. And to start today, I would really like for you to tell us what inspired you to become a doctor.
Thank you, Mars, for the introduction. So I've always been really involved with sports when I was a kid. And so that's really started, getting a lot of injuries as a kid from doing competitive swimming and other sports. So going through therapy myself really got me to thinking, and that's what I like to do in the future to help other people as well. So that's how I kind of started my journeys in that way.
Great. Thank you for that. I guess we have something in common. We're inspired by our own experiences and wanting to support others, which is great. Tell me, Dr. Fung, so you've been in business for quite a few years, because I've been working with you in the past I've worked with you for almost 20 plus years now. So tell me a little bit about your experience, your history, your education.
Well, as you know, I have been in practice for 20 years now, actually. Just marked 20 years this year. And before I started chiropractic, I actually went to University of Toronto and studied genetics as my undergraduate degree. And afterwards, got into chiropractic. And one thing I found really interesting is that the more I study chiropractic, the more I really like it. Nice. And a lot of time people in different professions, and you go in it for a long time, you can get bored with it. But for me, the more I do it, the more I find always learning new things, and really start to pay more attention or focus more in certain areas, such as concussion, head injuries. They look at the nervous system as well as scoliosis. So those are two areas that really, this is where I spend my time on studying and helping the patients.
After working with you for so many years, I have noticed that you're constantly taking on new courses, new development, new education to reinforce the knowledge that you've already and experience that you've already acquired, and so that you can better perfect your craft, really.
Yes, that's why it's called practice, I guess, right? And it's not just you learn it once and it doesn't stop there. You just continue learning the new research coming up, so you have to know about them and always find out what can be more effective, especially the area of a concussion. It's really kind of relatively newer area of research. People really start to pay attention to that in the last few years, right? And before that, when someone has concussions, patients will simply be told that stay home, don't do anything, stay in a dark room, or just stay in bed. And now we know that's really not the, the ideal recommendations for longer than a couple of days.
Right. In fact, I'd like to bring the highlight onto Miles here, because Miles came into my life back in, I believe February, as a medical student. And I like to hire medical students as interns to help them graduate. And they have so much to offer and they need hands-on experience. And since, I suffered from mild brain injury and have challenges with memory, I can't do everything myself. And these young ones, they have so much energy, so many abilities. They are extremely intuitive, and they're little artists as well. So there's so much that we can do together. So I hire several of them, but Miles really, really stood out because as part of his resume, he was talking about concussion. And then he shared some material with me, and I got really, really excited to have him on board. And as a result, working together, Miles has created a 4 series on concussion. And this is going to lead to something really amazing, which is a presentation by Dr. Fung. But right now, I'd like for you, Miles, to tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you're studying, where you're at, and what has transpired since you work, together with Interact Health Pro.
Yeah, fantastic. I'd love to. So to give a short background, I know we kind of mentioned that in episode 1, but just to give everyone a brief idea, I'm working on my kinesiology degree at York right now. I grew up playing sports my whole life, and I finally hit that tipping point of too many injuries without receiving treatment that I felt was supporting my recovery. And that's what led me into my kinesiology degree, because I'm like, I can't keep going through without getting treatment. I want to start being the person who is supporting other people with good information and new information as well. Just as Dr. Fung mentioned, it's changing so frequently, so fast, and so recently that if you're not always learning the newest information, you're not doing the best you can to support a treatment. So with that being said, that's what led us to IHP and to lead us our concussion series. So as she mentioned, it's 4 videos that we've been promoting on all our social platforms. And shamelessly right now, if you haven't checked out our Facebook page, our YouTube page, or our Instagram, those links will be in the caption below. If you're watching this on YouTube, they're likely going to be popped up at the top of the page here. Really important to check those out, and especially because they're yours truly. I'm the one who's been making them. So I'm glad to share those.
Miles, you've done an amazing job. It's so inspiring to see you grow and to really share your passion about concussion and to support others, much like Dr. Fung. In fact, when I saw how much talent Miles had, I decided to connect him with Dr. Fung, and they've been working together. So now I want to hear from both of you how that's working out, because I really don't know.
Well, go ahead, Miles.
Sure, glad. So for me, I try to say it as much as I can. It's a wonderful opportunity, especially for those who, depending on when you're watching this, you may not be aware we're currently going through the COVID shutdown. And while some things are starting to reopen, my schooling has been majorly online. So the majority of my courses have all been online, which is fantastic that I still get the opportunity to learn and to go through the class and complete my education. But the hands-on stuff is lacking, and that's where the real difference is. So I've been incredibly thankful that I get to be in a clinic where I get to see people, I get to see their muscles, I get to see their skeleton, I get to actually treat them. And instead of just learning from what it looks like on a textbook, when you're actually dealing with a real person who's living in actual pain, it's very different. So it's a fantastic opportunity for me, and I'm really thankful for it.
And for you, Dr. Fung, what has it been like to have a students with such enthusiasm and determination as Miles?
You know what? We've had many students in our clinic in the past, as you know. and Miles definitely stand out among them. Right, definitely does. And right now, currently, we actually delegated titles of a community outreach officer to Miles. So which means that, because of his passions and always want to share information to the community and create a social media. So that's why we asked him to take on that the challenge.
Very nice. I did not know that. And I know that he'll really, really do an amazing job at representing complete balanced health in the community. Because yeah, he's a stand. So I'm very proud to have him on Interact Health Pro and having been able to share him with you as well, because I saw so much potential. So let me ask you, what do you see in the future for yourself, Dr. Fung, as a practitioner, and even with maybe focusing on the concussion area of things?
Lucie, I think for the future is in the clinic aspect, I think that we're going to start to see more and more patients with concussions. I think that phenomenon is because of increased awareness of it, not just from the public, but also I see that in clinicians and in physicians as well, even at the hospital and family doctors. And I see that, from the doctor's notes and when patients go to see their physicians, and when I look at a lot of clinical review, a lot of their clinical notes, I do start seeing that physicians are more astute in diagnosing concussions when it's there. And that is really important because early diagnosis can make a difference for patients who suffer from concussions. And I think in the past, often that's missed. And one of the biggest myths was that people used to think that concussion has to involve a direct impact of the head, and that's not true. And second is that it has to involve unconsciousness. So in fact, they know that about 90% of cases, persons with concussions did not involve loss of consciousness. So they're completely conscious the entire time. So now physicians more aware of it, and there's more public education on that too. So yes, there are more people being diagnosed with concussion, but that's not a bad thing. It just means that we pick up this diagnosis much early on before they become more post-concussive symptoms.
Right, and I think that one areas that I spent quite a bit of time working on is with personal injury, such as motor vehicle accident. And after, obviously learning from you and spending quite a bit of time myself recovering from it, learning that it could be just a sudden movement of the neck with enough speed or enough reaction, that's what concusses the brain, and basically it's the way the brain moves inside the skull, right? And it could be different ways. It could be sideways, it could be front to back. There's so many different, and I think that I can't explain it well at all, but Dr. Fung can. And I want to invite everyone here to join us going live, hosting a webinar where Dr. Fung is really going to go into details about concussion, what to look for, how it's addressed, what are the symptoms, what are the signs, and he's going to actually do a full presentation with images, and he's going to explain how everything works. And that is key, I think, understanding all about concussion so that you can address it accordingly. Miles has done an amazing job introducing it with 4 short videos in all 4 series, 4 episodes of the series. And there are, checklists so that you can see if you can relate to any of those symptoms. if you want to identify maybe that it's a possibility, when you need to go see a doctor. But it's not as in depth as what Dr. Fung is going to present, because Dr. Fung is the one with the experience. And Miles did such an amazing job presenting a wonderful introduction to concussion. So I hope to see everyone there.
Yeah, excellent. So just to reiterate, in the beginning of September, in the early weeks, we are going to have this live webinar with Dr. Fung. That's where he's going to go super into depth with the information. So if you watched my series, we just scratched the surface on the info. Now we have the actual doc coming out in September to give us the real info. I'm super excited for it. If you're interested in this webinar, please, you can mention a comment in our Instagram page. You can message us on Instagram or Facebook. If you're checking us out on YouTube as well, you can comment below. We will most likely have a link available in all the descriptions, so that way you can see directly on our webpage and sign up for it there as well. We're really excited, and we're looking forward to your attendance.
Thank you so much, Miles, for such a wonderful invitation to everyone to participate in this fabulous concussion presentation that Dr. Fung is going to offer us. Dr. Fung, I want to thank you for being here today, and I'd like to know if there's anything else you'd like to add.
No, thank you for having me here tonight, today for the podcast, Lucie and Miles, and looking forward to the sessions and early September, so that I can give more information and share more information to everyone.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great, because I think you're going to be able to answer everyone's questions as well, right? We're going to have the presentation, but after that, everyone's going to be able to participate and ask actual questions. And I think that's key it's hard to get answers. It's hard to get answers, especially from someone, even your primary practitioner may be a great doctor, may not know as much as someone that specializes or focuses on concussion as Dr. Fung does. So this will be a great opportunity to get your questions answered.
Thank you both so much for being here. Just in closing, you were listening to IHP's Health Huddle, episode 4. Our special guest today was Dr. Fung from Complete Balance Health Center. As always, the links to those social media sites will be available below. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you very much. Wave goodbye. If you're listening on this on a podcast, not going to wave to you, but goodbye and thank you for listening. We appreciate everyone. And remember, please check us out on social. Goodbye, everybody.